Hello and welcome to another episode of the Football is Fixable Alright podcast with your favourite couple on this romantic Valentine's Day recording. How are you, Dan? You alright?
Oh, it's so lovely to hear you refer to us as a couple. Although I do feel like I'm cheating on Seth right now.
Oh,
Sorry. Yeah.
It's like having an affair.
Yeah.
Hopefully he won't find out about it.
Because obviously he's my true love, but it's okay. He's not here today. He stitched me up, so I'll have to make do with you, James. You can be my Valentine.
Oh wow. Sess isn't worth it. He's not worth your time anyway. Let's be honest.
No, that's true. That's true.
Well, it's been an exciting week, though. So we've had midweek games. We've had the title race heating up. What is it currently? Is it a 4-point difference between Arsenal and City? You've got West Ham getting closer to the survival area of the relegation zone. All kinds of things going on. Yeah. Jim Ratcliffe coming out and insulting immigrants.
What Sir Jim is doing, commenting on his fresh remarks on colonialism, which were quite fun. So... what on earth?
It's just bonkers, isn't it?
Honestly, sometimes I just feel like he's a senile old man. Just ridiculous. So ridiculous.
Oh, exactly. So there we go. It's been quite an eventful week. But can I get into an off the post?
Yes, please.
In my off the post this week, then I've actually got a bit more Man United for you, Dan.
Oh, can't wait.
I love my Man United fan posts.
Yeah.
Showing all of you fans in a good light. So this was in the Man United football fan group. Basically it's saying, guess who this average club is, with a couple of clown faces. 23 years without the Premier League, 6 years without the FA Cup, 33 years without Carabao Cup, 140 years without the UCL, the Champions League. So apparently that's Arsenal, even though the Champions League's only been around since is it 70 years or something like that?
Yeah.
Some of the comments underneath. If not Arsenal, then who? Which club can such thing? One United fan said. Another said, Set Pieces Club and FC.
I love that.
Check anyone that's supporting Arsenal. They are good husband and they have bears and has patience in, and ever they're doing. And there's my off the post. United fans are really clever people, aren't they, Dan?
I was going to say, I don't know that any of those were coherent. Then again, when you are a larger club, you might not be used to this, James, because obviously Arsenal aren't a big club, but you have what's called international fans, where English isn't their first language, so it looks a bit like that when they, but that's just what you get with big clubs, you know.
They're probably just from Manchester, to be honest. They're just illiterate. But well, as it's Valentine's Day, and speaking about Arsenal and United, we thought we'd look at the best pairings in Premier League history by looking at the best ever title rivalries that the Premier League has produced.
How romantic.
Should we get into it?
Lovely.
Right, so how we're going to structure this episode then, Dan, is we're going to count down the best rivalries, right? But we're going to make a case for what the top rivalries are and why we've ranked them where we have done. Does that sound good?
All right.
So in terms of structure then, what we thought we'd do is we're going to narrow down our top 3 best Premier League title rivalries in the Premier League era ever, so far anyway. Who should be in the shortlist for this?
We're not doing derby rivalries, are we? We're just doing Premier League contending rivalries, right?
Yeah, like title rivals.
Yeah. So, okay. So I mean, I've got some.
Tottenham won't be in that category, I'm afraid. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. They took Leicester close to the line one season, didn't they?
They did, and then they finished third. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
They finished third in a 2-horse race.
I mean, there's a lot I can talk, like, in terms of my memory anyway. Like, as a Man United fan, I remember the Kevin Keegan meltdown. I love it if we beat them.
Yeah.
That was iconic. Obviously, it was just the one season. Then you had, there was that 1 year Blackburn nipped it, which is great for them as a club, but I wouldn't
like 95,
really say,
wasn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't really call that much of a rivalry. There wasn't much drama, was there?
I suppose, yeah, it's a one or two season thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, there just wasn't much drama. At least with the Kevin Keegan thing, there's that big drama, wasn't there, which is iconic.
Yeah, true. I think so. What are our top three then? What's behind curtain number 3? Right, title rival number 3. Describe yourself.
So, I've been to many cup final. I like long walks on the beach, and particularly running down the touchline in celebration. The rivalry really picked up between the managers before one even started at the club, and you can say there's a bit of an age gap between the two of them, but they don't mind. It's all about the competition. And we are Manchester United and Chelsea. Rivalry stemmed between Jose Mourinho and Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think third place, that would take a worthy third place in our rankings, don't you think? It was a good rivalry for a while.
Yeah, I think so. There's some great cup finals. There's some fantastic players. Because on the pitch as well, you've got those heated tension between players, which I think is always a great thing.
You had the kind of the old guard of Man United that obviously had been there for years and years under Sir Alex, and then you had the new money of Abramovich, and then Mourinho, who was new to the league, came in with that confidence / arrogance, if you want to call it that, the special one, all that type of thing, trying to overtake the the established team and all that. Chelsea building their club up and things.
So it's like tradition versus new money, wasn't it? But equally, I remember as a Man United fan, I hated Mourinho because of when he knocked us out at the Champions League with Porto the year before he joined Chelsea. Yeah. And there was always that straight away disliking, and then he was really the start of that disliking for Chelsea, and then after he left, it just carried on where the competition was still there. But really, I think it stemmed from the Mourinho thing.
I think the Abramovich idea, that's where my sort of... Chelsea used to be my second team because my dad's a Chelsea fan. I used to go and watch Chelsea with him. And that was in the kind of Zola, Hasselbank era, and Ranieri was manager and all of that type of thing. It was a club that went through that transition of that new money that was suddenly pumped in. It ruffled our feathers. Arsenal United were the established title rivals at that period of time. And Chelsea came in spending big, outspending everyone. Hundreds of millions of pounds in the first transfer window, then again. It was just like non-stop, and suddenly, wow. It was kind of like we couldn't believe what we were seeing almost. And it created that tension between the games straight away. So it added a lot of kind of gravitas to that, I think. It made a really good, intense battle between Arsenal and Chelsea initially, because when Chelsea came in, Arsenal were champions, and then obviously United were then trying to reclaim the top spot, and it was a 3 kind of horse title race for a couple of seasons. Then it became Chelsea, United were the top 2. It was quite an interesting battle. It was a few years where it was some high quality stuff, getting to Champions League finals as well. So the standard was really good quality. You had some proper good players in those sides.
Yeah, it definitely pushed the level of the game because, of course, United at the time, they'd won. Obviously, we had that rivalry with Arsenal for that period of time as well. But from the beginning of the Premier League, we were kind of like the dominant force. So we had that was going when we were teetering off a little bit. Arsenal had just been on the ascension as well. So they were kind of... Then you had those two going, and then with all that money going into Chelsea, it just pushed that competition even further because out of nowhere you had another contender, and the level just went up and up and up. And I think a lot of people look back at that period in the Premier League as probably being the best,
I think
the highest quality.
Yeah, like 2000 to 2010, the standard I think was really good. It was a really good standard across the. You had a few different teams competing for the league as well. It wasn't the same team winning the league all the time. Like in recent seasons, Man City have won however many it's been. Like is it 6 out of 7 or something like that, or 7 out of 8 titles, and it's nice to have that. You had different teams all getting to European finals and semi-finals and stuff. Arsenal United played in the semi-final Champions League, didn't they? In maybe 2009. I can't remember, somewhere around that era.
That was the 2009. That was 08-09. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
that was that was when Ronaldo scored that free kick from that mental distance, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. As good as that was, it was Almunia in goal. I couldn't stand him as a keeper. He was awful. He was so bad.
Yeah, he wasn't great. So that's our first one. So our first one's Chelsea.
That's a solid
Chelsea Man United
first candidate there, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Right. What's behind curtain number 2. I'm two teams where one prefers positional superiority, whereas the other one prefers emotional chaos. One won by 1 point. It was passion, it was love at first sight. Hugs and kisses after the game. It's City v Liverpool, the rivalry of 2017 to 2024, Pep versus Klopp. What do you reckon, Dan? Number 2 on the list? Klopp, was it at 2015 when he joined, was it? 2015-16 sort of time?
Yeah, 2015. And then Pep joined in 2016?
Yeah. So then you can't really say until they were both in the league where that rivalry began. Obviously, it started over in Germany when Pep was at Bayern and Klopp was at Dortmund. Yeah. So they had that history there. So when they both joined the Prem, 1 year apart, so really from sort of 2017 to 2024, was it, when Klopp left?
Yeah.
Liverpool pushed them a long way. Like that, there was a couple of memorable seasons especially. Was it 97, 98 points or whatever it was? And you know, and City obviously famously had the Centurions team as well. But what was good about it is it's an era where the Premier League, particularly in those years, has become the dominant league in the world, isn't it? In terms of dominating European competitions as well. I know Real Madrid have won many cups as well, but when you think of Liverpool getting to the Champions League final against Real Madrid 1 year, and although they didn't win it, they then went back to the final and won it the following year, was it? 2018 or whatever it was. And I might have got the years wrong there, but they won the Champions League around that time. City then win it after years of trying.
The thing with City, though, right, is I feel like they did the Roman Abramovich thing, but like way better than he did it. They've kind of done the Chelsea thing just way better. So that in that period of time, they were just outright dominant, and there was no one near them really.
Yeah, they were a bit over dominant. That especially that Centurions team, as they call it, the 100 points season.
I suppose in respect to the rivalry, so you've got to take your hats off to the Centurions, and for a team to get over 90 points and still come second in the league, you know, that as much as the league would not have been as competitive that year, clearly, it's still an achievement to score that amount of points in a Premier League season, isn't it? So I suppose that's why they just scrape into our top 3. But they do deserve to be considered along the discussions with the rivalries in the history of the Prem. Reluctantly, I have to say, but, you know.
Through gritted teeth.
Yeah.
What I enjoyed about that rivalry, the games were entertaining. I must say, so criticism that loads of people are saying at the moment, Arsenal are boring, they're just dominating sides, and there's sides they're playing against are sat so deep, and it's just boring football. Whereas City and Liverpool, they're really entertaining games. I think the different styles, because Klopp was very much rock and roll football, wasn't it? It was just intense, chaos, pressing, quite direct, where City were kind of more build up and pass you, death by 1,000 passes was some of the phrases that you'd hear and stuff. So you see City kind of very tactically picking their way through, and Liverpool was just in your face and direct, and they kind of countered each other quite well. They were quite opposite styles in that sense, which they made it really entertaining games. And although the league was more dominated by City for those years, the matches were quite well split, I think. There were a number of times where Liverpool beat City, and, it was really entertaining games.
That's true. Yeah, the head-to-heads were always good. But then, I don't know, Liverpool are just like, thank you so much for beating us all those seasons. It was just so wonderful. It's just Stockholm Syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, that's the thing, because the Liverpool fans seem to love, they say that was the best rivalry. They won one. Klopp won the league once in, 7 years?
Especially as that one was in the COVID season, so really that one is a half. So, like, in those 7 years, it was 6 to City and a half to Klopp. So
such a look, sorry Liverpool fans, I have to deal with this United fan. He really does try and get that little jab in, doesn't he, every time? But because you have to say City were Liverpool's masters that kept them locked up for most of it.
Yeah.
When you speak to especially the younger generation, they've grown up in this recent they have that recency bias, if you like, of the Liverpool-Man City rivalry. And some people say, oh, it's the best rivalry, particularly City and Liverpool fans. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Who think that's the best rivalry. It was the best football played in what they believe is the toughest era and that sort of thing. So
I don't even think there was the best Man City rivalry. I think the Man City-Man United rivalry was stronger than the Man City-Liverpool one. If you think it brought up things like the Balotelli moment, the "Why always me?"
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah, that Michael
Trafford.
Owen goal in the last minute in the 4-3, I remember.
Yeah, and then of course the Aguero moment, one of the most famous moments in Premier League history. You know,
that's true.
So
United had won their game, and there was that Sunderland, wasn't it? I think I was watching that game.
Yeah,
but you had to wait on the result of Man City.
Yeah.
And,
so I mean, that's like
moment.
For drama and entertainment. Yeah, I mean, obviously the key thing there, the consistent one, is obviously Man United, which is why the Premier League needs Man United challenging for a title again, because we're just box office, you know.
Is that it?
We bring the entertainment levels. So yeah,
right. And before we find out what's behind curtain number 1, it's time for a halftime head scratcher.
For this week's halftime head scratcher, it's all about our rivalries and champions. Which Premier League winners won with the lowest Premier League total? Find out after the break. Before the break, I asked you which Premier League winners won with the lowest points tally. It was Manchester United in 96-97 with a lowly 75 points. I think some seasons that had struggled to get you in the top 4. However, they managed to win the title with it. And that's your halftime head scratcher.
Right, and now it's time. Let's see what's behind curtain number 1.
Feels very much like an episode of Blind Date.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We enjoy sharing a pizza together and going for long walks in tunnels. Sometimes we don't always see eye to eye, but at the end of the day, we enjoy a good tackle.
It is, of course, the Arsenal-Man United title rivalry. Arsene Wenger against Sir Alex Ferguson. What are we saying, Dan? Sort of, that was around 7 years or so, wasn't it? We saying sort of 97 to 2004 sort of time?
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, 97. So that's Arsene Wenger started in 97, didn't he? Or was it 96?
Yeah, 96. It was
started.
A couple of months into the season, 1996, when he came. And then his first full season, he then won the league that year, actually. We won the double, 97, 98. And then United won the next 3 leagues, was it? And obviously you had the treble winning side in 99 as well.
Yep.
Then Arsenal won the double in 2002. Then United won the league in 2003. Arsenal won the FA Cup that year. 2004, Arsenal go unbeaten. I think United win the FA Cup that year. So it's just like all the cups were between those.
Yeah.
But the games, Dan, do you remember the game? I mean, we're going to look at this from different points of view.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other at the time. You know, growing up watching these matches. What were your impressions?
Just the intensity and the hatred. It's not like we were saying about City, Liverpool, where they seem to love each other and they have a good hug at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Just the absolute detest for the other team.
It was, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it was intense, wasn't it? But
I mean, I know Sess would be saying I don't like that. It should be rivalry, not hatred, and all that stuff. I think it made it like you say, the word intensity. The games were so intense; it was a battle every single time.
He also says he really enjoys the theatre and the story behind boxing, for example.
Good point.
And this 100% emulated that same like intensity and story and drama in all of the pre-match
all the mind
stuff.
Games from Fergie and Wenger bouncing back, and Fergie saying, "Who is this Frenchman? He doesn't know anything about the Premier League," and that sort of thing. And then Wenger comes in, ruffles Fergie's feathers. So obviously, I'm going to look at this from the Arsenal point of view and how we were trying to topple the giants of United.
Yeah.
Fergie was suddenly pushed off his perch for a while, and then he was fighting back, and it became the media and the build-up to the games, wasn't it? The story going on, the narrative in the background.
Yeah.
Fergie never let it drop, and then Wenger would bite back.
Well, also, wasn't there a point where Ferguson wanted to retire? I think it was 2002. And I think Wenger was like, the idea would be the successor at Man United, and he turned it down. There were like rumours of this. And I don't know how much...
I do remember.
Yeah, I don't know how
that,
much truth there is to it.
Yeah.
But there's all of these stories around it, isn't there? And then he decided to come out of retirement, and Wenger stayed at Arsenal, and blah blah blah, and the rest is history. But
I know that United tried to sign Vieira, I think, or at least that was another rumour I heard. I think Vieira said that they tried to sign him. Because he was asked, like, how would he play alongside Roy Keane? Because that was the other thing about the rivalry, the Keane-Vieira battles. Every match.
Wicked. It was, yeah, there was obviously
they've made programmes since, haven't they?
Yeah,
the Keane versus Vieira, programmes, best of enemies and stuff.
Yeah, down the tunnel. Oh, that was great. That was so good, wasn't it? I'll see you on the field. I'll see you out on the pitch.
I'll see you out there. Yeah. The way I see Man United were they win at all costs. No matter what happens, we're going to try and win. And sometimes that was dirty play, in my opinion. That was controversial decisions from referees. There's that idea of Fergie time and pressurising refs, and refs have come out since saying that Fergie would wait for them in the tunnel and try and influence them and things like that by, shouting at them or whatever it was he was trying to do. So where United are the win at all costs approach, Arsenal were win the right way. We had to play the pretty football, and it was beautiful football. It was loved around Europe. And I remember Gary Neville coming out and saying,
"What happened to that philosophy now? Where's that gone?"
Okay, fair point. But that was the thing, and it that grew. It kind of, you mentioned at the start of the episode about Man United having fans around the world. That was one thing that put Arsenal on the map. Fans around Africa and South America and Asia. Loving Arsenal. Arsenal, one of the biggest clubs in the world, obviously, because of that Wenger era. And at the time, the Premier League was very English, really, wasn't it? You had a few foreign players coming into the league in that sort of mid-90s period and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas Wenger came in, the media would say, Wenger who? And it was kind of like, who is this foreign manager? And he's buying a lot of these kind of foreign players. He's Vieira and Anelka, Mark Overmars. And this kind of different type of football, it was less physical. So I think that kind of ruffled feathers, not just with Fergie, but in the media as well, how Arsenal were kind of playing this less English type football. It was less physical, less direct, and it was more kind of on the floor, passing it around and passing it out from the back. And I remember Gary Neville coming out and saying, because United would normally win, against most sides, they'd be able to outplay them and that type of thing. But when United played Arsenal, Neville described those games as requiring direct adaptation to, and I quote, stop them playing. So it was about, because he was saying how that left-hand side of Arsenal, the Henry, Perez and Ashley Cole, would just terrorise you. And they drag you all over the place. And the movement, the pass and moving. So it was all about trying to stop them playing. And obviously some of the matches ended up being overly physical. Neville went in on Reyes and Perez and stuff, and that created battles on the pitch. And Vieira in the following match then went out and said, if you go near Perez again, I'm going to get you. And that's what riled Roy Keane up. And that's what,
But then there's also a lot of stories about how dirty a player Dennis Bergkamp was.
Yeah, well...
Like, Dennis Bergkamp was also pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, off the ball, like, very... Like, he was really coy with it.
He would certainly stand up for himself. Yeah, he had a bit of that to him. I remember as a kid, being my favourite player, I'd be heartbroken when he gets sent off sometimes. He's had a few reds over his career, for sure. And
we've already learnt that Vieira was the bigger hothead between Vieira and Roy Keane. So Vieira was more of a stopper
in terms of red
play.
Cards? Well, yeah, maybe that's down to Fergie's tactics influencing the ref, who knows. But yeah, Neville noted that sort of alongside teammates like Wes Brown, Darren Fletcher, he would often be tasked with a 3 or 4 players around them approach. Get around them, kick them, and sort of ruffle their feathers a bit, going back to that type of thing. Ferguson used psychological tricks to create a siege mentality, telling his team, I don't want Vieira refereeing the game today, or Adams or Keown. Find a way to win. And that was the thing. So United will win at all costs and Arsenal will win the right way. And it was whichever style sort of trumped the other on the game. And you've heard the players say, like Vieira and Keane have said, like, if we beat you, we're likely to win the league. So it was always about if we can get ahead of Arsenal, or if Arsenal can get ahead of United, we'll probably win the league. That was those two.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I agree with your narrative that Arsenal was the win the right way and Man United was the win any way necessary. I think we also played a lot of really good football. I think Arsenal had a way of finding a way as well. You know, like you had people like Keown and Vieira
Tony Adams,
who could play a bit, and Tony who could play dirty like that, and you know that was just a part of the game at that time. Equally, on the other side of things, I remember in your unbeaten season, you're losing to Portsmouth, and you had that Perez dive for a penalty.
No.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly. You know exactly the one I'm talking about when he kicks his leg out and he makes the contact. So,
by the way, compared to dives these days, that's nothing. I mean, we see that every game now, but back then, you're right. Back then, that was like because we've said this. Like I know Seth and I have said this before. Every team had that one player that would go down easy. Like Chelsea had Joe Cole, for example, and you know United had Rooney diving, which we'll get to in a bit, no doubt. But yeah, Perez was he was such a great player, and he's not talked about enough for how great he was, but he did go down easy if he was kicked and stuff, and that's what Neville used to do. To stop him playing, he would just constantly kick him.
Yeah, but my point is that's another way of winning a game, which isn't necessarily the right way.
True.
So
yeah,
I don't think it's as clean as, you know, Arsenal were the ones that did the right way, Man United was the only way, like whatever way. I think both teams had both abilities.
Well, I've used quotes to try and back my points up because like Neville would say we would never adapt to any team apart from Arsenal. We would, you know, be able to play some, and United did play some really good stuff, you know. But then against Arsenal, it would often be us playing triangles around you, and a lot of the time it was you kicking the stuffing out of us to try and get the ball.
There's also a lot of quotes from Arsenal players saying about their own thing was they wanted to stop Paul Scholes. If they could stop Paul Scholes, they can stop Man United playing. So they were also worried about our players and what we were doing. So, you know, let's not reinvent history here.
Oh, certainly not. But I think this is it, isn't it? It played such a big part of our lives growing up, watching that rivalry. And the way I saw it is United were like the big bullies. They were the ones that would influence refs. They were the ones that would kick everyone. They were, you know, whatever it was they had to do to win. That's what they are in my mind. They were win at all costs, like I say. They were like the bullies. Arsenal had to play the right way. And they were often... I remember George Best once on Soccer Saturday, they do the 3 p.m. kickoffs and stuff, and George Best was saying things like, they just can't get the ball from Arsenal. They're just caressing the ball, you know, watching these guys play. You know, and I just remember how complimentary he was of Bergkamp that season, and you know, and a legend like George Best, one of United's biggest legends, saying that was just something special.
Yeah, it's nice to know that you recognise good players as well. That's good. That's good to know.
I play football the right way, so I like to respect, you know, good players. Anyway, so
the right way, ridiculous. But like you can tell just even the way we're talking about it now, like the rivalry was so deep rooted that even now we're quite passionate about it, talking about it all these years later, which is it's pretty cool, really.
It shows the kind of historic, the impact it's had on us, on football. It was just magic, wasn't it? It was such a battle, such intensity, the passion on show. And
it brought us the greatest game in the history of Premier League football when Man United stopped your unbeaten run.
Well, this goes back to the playing football the right way versus playing, winning at all costs. So that was it's known as the Battle of Old Trafford, isn't it? Is that the Pizzagate when pizzas were thrown in the tunnel and all that? And seriously,
this is...
You know, every year...
I knew this would set you off. This is... Like, every year... I feel like you have, like, this... You know when, like, you're just going to bed and you have this memory of something terrible you did years and years ago?
Trauma.
And it makes you just cringe a little bit. I feel like you do this with this football match at least once a year. You go through a phase where it's all you'll talk about and it's still there. It's really
it's sort of like the
deep-rooted in you, isn't it?
Like the anniversary, and it's in October, and it was after we went the whole season unbeaten, the Invincibles, 2003-04. Then in the 4-5 season, we continued that unbeaten run, and we went the longest that any English side has done, 49 games unbeaten. And then the 50th game was at Old Trafford against the big rivals, Man United. And seriously, listeners, go and watch. If you weren't there at the time, you didn't, watch the game or for whatever reason, go and watch the recordings on YouTube and things. Go and watch the challenges. United should have had at least two or three red cards that game. Rooney dived to get the penalty for the opening goal. Go and watch the dive from Rooney. Absolute disgusting for Man United, and that's what they were.
Everybody that watches it, if you could please, for me, just drop a little comment on our video. Just say, United deserved the win, just to wind James up. I'd really appreciate that. So
I still have trauma from that game. As I was like 16 at the time I would have been, and it just, when we created this unbeaten run, playing such beautiful football, and United had to do that to end it. To lose in that way. If you beat us in the right way, then fine. But Ferdinand should have been sent off. Van Nistelrooy should have been sent off. Arguably Neville should have been sent off. Disgusting from Man United.
Interesting fact about these Invincibles. So, in the season of your Invincible season, right, you lost more games in all competitions. So that team, in all competitions, lost more games that year than the 99 treble-winning Man United team did.
Well, that would kind of make sense, I guess, because you got to the FA Cup final and won it, so you didn't get knocked out of it. So you played more games there. You got to the Champions League final and won it, so you played more games there. So you played more games than us. And
but we lost less. We played a lot more games than you, and we lost way less games than you.
Fewer games. But yeah, okay, fair enough. So there we are. We've got rivalries there, which still mean so much to both of us, you can tell. So I think it warrants first place, doesn't it, in this list? And I think most sensible people would agree with us. If you're not a City or Liverpool fan, and I'm sure there are City and Liverpool fans that would also agree that is the best rivalry.
Yeah.
Another thing that made that rivalry so good was it's that era that we keep going back to, that kind of early 2000s era where football was that perfect balance between the old physical side from the 80s and 90s and the more technical that the Premier League was coming, and the pace and all of that as well. So the games you'd be watching you'd see crunching tackles, brilliant skill, at such a fast pace and intensity. Whereas these days it's less physical, the defending isn't as good.
Yeah, they were mint.
I think that's another tick in the box really for why that's the best rivalry.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I suppose all that's left to do is to decide who's going to the Isle of Fernando.
That is going to be a reference that goes over so many of our listeners' heads.
Yeah, that's probably showing my age a touch there, isn't it? But,
well, was that Paddy McGuinness or something, wasn't it?
If Paddy McGuinness listens to our podcast, he'll get it and he'll appreciate it.
Basically, kids, it's an old dating show, and they're going off on some romantic holiday together. So those are the two. They're the soulmates, really, aren't they? Arsenal United, and that's where, even to this day, where recently Arsenal United haven't been winning titles, the matches are still built up in the same way, aren't they? The media try and say, these two old rivals and all that type of thing. It's still got that kind of feel to it.
They're trying to emulate that era and create these narratives that just aren't there.
Yeah, and we might agree with Sess on that side of things. The narratives, the stories aren't as good as they once were, maybe. So there we are. We found our ultimate love story, the best rivalry the Premier League has ever had, and it's Man United against Arsenal, Arsenal against United. Toxic, passionate, but ultimately they're soulmates, aren't they? Wrapped up together in history, intertwined under the bed sheets of our minds.
That's a bit far.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah. So from one piece of filth to another, should we get into some fantasy football with John's juicy tips?
Let's do it. Juicy.
I love the look of your tips by candlelight, John.
John's juicy tips.
Yeah.
Alright, the title race is on in the Premier League and in our FPL mini league. So here's some tips to push your team up the table. In defence, it's James Hill for Bournemouth. At 4 million, he's super cheap. Plus, he gets assists, 3 in his last 4 appearances, and DEFCON points too. So, go for James. In midfield, it's time to start looking at some Liverpool players because they got a kind fixture run coming up. And the pick of the bunch is Florian Wirtz because he's running the show and he's less than 15% owned. And up front, it's the brilliant Brazilian Igor Thiago for Brentford. He's the second highest scoring forward in the game, and his next 4 fixtures are against leaky defences. So, it's time for your juicy.
Thanks, John, as always. Well, there we are. City and Liverpool might be the healthiest relationship the league has ever seen. But United and Arsenal, that was real love. Messy, loud, slightly toxic, unforgettable.
And yes, we have just done another episode about Man United and Arsenal in your absence. So get over it.
Dan, Sess might be giving you the silent treatment over the next few days. He might not text back.
It's so worth it.